What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to the WWE WrestleMania Backlash 2021. I don't know if they're going to continue to call it that forward, but at least it's 2021 right now. Post-show that's live here on YouTube from smark@moment.com. It's another Smack Talk podcast, Pay-Per-Viewpoint. We're going to run down all the other things that happened throughout the night. Pay-Per-View just ended a few minutes ago, so we're going to give you our first impressions and all the usual stuff that we do here. Who are we? You should know by now, but if you don't, I am Tony Mango, and with me is Robert DeFelice.
Hey, Tony, I'm on one of the live ones. This is fun.
Yeah, doing these live every pay-per-view at this point. So if you weren't able to join us live, then hopefully you'll be able to join us for the next one, which will be Double or Nothing. And then whatever else we're doing going forward, because we got even some more pay-per-view changes on this episode, and we got some other information and everything. But
So here's how bad you've ruined me, Tony. I was going to go, Double or Nothing. Why are we going live for a Bond film? And what Bond film is Double or Nothing?
Double or Nothing could definitely be a Bond title. That's for sure. And if you want to hear us talk about more James Bond stuff, check out the Review to a Kill podcast that we've got over on fanboysanonymous.com. Show that with some love. We are about almost 20 films deep at this point. We're recording Die Another Day tomorrow. So we got plenty of episodes up already. And, you know, if you are a big fan of 007 and everything, I'm sure that you'll enjoy that podcast. And, you know, show some love over to Fanboys Anonymous for the other stuff, too. Scooby-Doo fan tracks and some other kind of things. We're gonna do the Army of the Dead thing. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, too. But in general, whether you're listening to this live in the chat like Peter and Michael right now, or you are listening to this after the fact, drop a comment below. Tell us your thoughts on WrestleMania Backlash and your thoughts on our thoughts and anything else you want to chime in about. And hit that like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that already. Ring that little notification bell because that'll give you email alerts of when we go live for these sorts of things. And I want to do definitely more live stuff outside of these things as well. So, you know, the more people that pop up on these, the more of a chance that we'll do that stuff. And also, of course, hit the applause button if you feel so inclined to give us a little bit of a tip, kind of like, buy us a cup of coffee, essentially. And there's also the join button. And that's the same thing as the Patreon. So go to patreon.com/smarkoutmoment or on the fanboy side of things, patreon.com/fanboysanonymous. Show some love, just the same as you would with any of the other kind of things that are out there. Everybody knows what Patreon is at this point. I don't need to explain it. But if you don't know what it is, check it out and follow the Facebook and Twitter accounts that you see on the screen and everything like that and all the other kind of stuff. We're going to get into more plugs later. We got plenty of other things we're going to talk about. How you feeling right now for an overall idea about WrestleMania Backlash?
Like an episode of Raw. Except the main event was really, really good. For me, this wasn't that special of a show. The biggest thing to come out of this show to me was the ending and the announcement that Hell in a Cell is in June for the first time.
That is not only surprising for me, but annoying because I literally had about 8 posts that I had in mind for an entire course of the next month. So I have to redo
Money in the Bank related?
All Money in the Bank related stuff.
Just save it for July.
Well, July, we were supposed to get Extreme Rules. I don't know if they're going to push that back. Or
Money in the Bank July 18th.
Did we get a confirmation about that?
Oh, well, the same person who reported fans on July 16th is now reporting Money in the Bank July 18th. And Sean also confirmed.
So I'm curious why they are bringing Hell in a Cell up instead of just swapping Extreme Rules and Money in the Bank. Because if they want Money in the Bank in front of fans, more so than Extreme Rules, which originally everything that was going in that direction, the way that you know how they usually do those little promos where they show you like the lineup of the next couple of pay-per-views and stuff.
Right.
It was all saying Backlash, Money in the Bank, Extreme Rules, and then SummerSlam.
So my theory is
Austin?
They're doing Hell in a Cell in the Thunderdome because they don't know the capacity of buildings they'll be able to run, and they don't know if they'll be able to suspend the structure in the buildings. Now, that's my theory. I'm not saying that's confirmed anyway.
And that gives them a lot of time to set it up.
Right.
Hmm.
That's just my theory.
A game theory. Just every time I
Yeah,
hear.
I always want to do that when I say theory, but
Yeah.
I avoid it.
It's embedded in my brain. Matt
A
Pat, just ruin
game
that for
theory.
everybody. Great channel. If you've never heard of it and you're here to Smart Moment, of course, check out Game Theory and Film Theory and Food Theory. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I always thought the Hell in a Cell makes sense in October because it's, Hell in a Cell and Halloween and whatever, but it's never Halloween themed or anything, so it's not like they have to do it then. Again, of course, I've mentioned a million times, I don't think Hell in a Cell should be a pay-per-view, period, because I think that they should wait to use that match when they need to use that match instead of just like, well, it's that time of the year, we're going to do that match, and let's shoehorn some stuff in there, but more so than anything, just on a personal level, I'm just like, crap, I had a whole bunch of Money in the Bank things lined up, and now I gotta think of new concepts, I had
My
planned on doing
big
like power ranking the people that should be the best options to win, and I was gonna do. We were gonna try to do a fan tracks for it, and another call the spot for it, and everything, and so that changes plans, and now I gotta move that all around. So, man,
my immediate hope is that they would just do Money in the Bank at SummerSlam. Like, I just want it to be a match again. More than even Hell in a Cell at this point. I just want Money in the Bank to be like a big match on a pay-per-view.
see, I think the opposite. I think Money in the Bank works so much better as a pay per view.
I think because of the year stipulation, that's why I always thought it worked at Mania. Because, first of all, that in and of itself is a WrestleMania moment. And then you can just say, I want to be in the main event of WrestleMania next year. And it works. And then you're scrambling to cash in too because you're racing against the clock.
We got a couple more people popping up in the chat here talking about some ideas. We got Chris and Marquise. I think that this is interesting. Yeah, Marquise brings up the idea, watch them move Extreme Rules to October so that they could do the horror show at Extreme Rules too. I hope that's not the case. I don't like that whole horror show at Extreme Rules.
Honestly, that's not bad.
It is.
The horror show in October.
But the horror show at Extreme Rules. I hate that title.
It's called the horror show.
Oh, no, I don't like that either.
Look, I don't like Extreme Rules as an event. I thought it was cool when it was one night stand because you're like, it's the one night of the year where every match has a stipulation. And then you went and created TLC and other shit like that. So, yeah.
I mean, I've said it a million times. Give me a generic name like a Breaking Point and take out something like Hell in a Cell and
or
we can go down that.
In your house.
What about in your house?
NXT is giving us in your house, but everybody could, and I'd be happy.
I feel like WrestleMania Backlash was basically an in your house.
I wish they'd call it that.
And get Top Pentagon.
Yeah, listen, that is what would make me happy. All right.
And that's sad when it's not just us, but plenty of other people are kind of like, oh my god, it's Hell in a Cell. Well, whatever. And then you go, what's that followed up by? And then you go, that's followed up by In Your House. You go, oh shit, In Your House? They're gonna have the house and Todd Pettengill? I'm sold. And it's like, I can't imagine a day if I go back in time and you tell 1998 me, hey, there's gonna be a time in the future where you're more excited to see In Your House with Todd Pettengill than Hell in a Cell. I'd be like, that's impossible. Hell in a Cell is the coolest match. And Todd Pettengill's just a guy that's no longer there anymore. And In Your House is passe, and instead it's just kind of give away a house,
I'll take it.
So, I mean, we'll obviously, after I change all my stuff around, we'll talk about Hell in a Cell more when we get in a month from now. But
we'll probably throw out a few match predictions here.
Yeah, depending on some of the things that they drag out, because if we know one thing about WWE, they really like dragging things out and stretching it until I was going to say until they can't do it anymore, but then they keep doing it anyways.
If I had to guess, I would assume you hated the finish.
For the main event?
Yeah.
No,
or
actually not.
specifically the aftermath.
Oh, that? Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of that.
Yeah, I liked it. Mostly because I didn't see it coming. And at this point, anything to swerve me is like, yeah, fuck yeah, you
Including
swerved
Scott.
me. Yeah, I like them. I like BFAB. I like that we're returning to names like BFAB.
Beep Fab, Top Dollar, The Adonis.
Yeah, I'm into that.
Let us know in the comments. Are you into Hit Row? I like the name. And we're getting some exciting ideas about the zombies being in the Battle Royal. We're gonna talk about zombies here, yeah. So let's start breaking it down. And I don't just mean the lyrics from DX. Let's get into the kickoff, which I have only one note other than the match. And that was that Sonya Deville had a little back and forth with Kayla. And they did a thing where Kayla was questioning, hey, Sonya, aren't you kind of just like manipulating the system and everything? And Sonya's like, well, I don't really like your tone. I'm your boss, and everybody needs to kind of respect what my opinions are. And Adam does things that I don't like, and I do things that he doesn't like, and whatever. We all make mistakes, and I can think of a couple things that you've done on this panel. And Kayla does the whole, inviting you to the panel was one of the mistakes. And Sonya's just like, I'm still your boss.
I like that.
A little back and forth is cool.
Good for them. Kayla's great. I think Kayla is, at this point, the only good host they have left, because they lost Renee and they lost Charlie. Like Mackenzie Mitchell, I don't really know her outside of an interview perspective. Sarah Schreiber, same thing.
Well, it's weird because it's like, what do you constitute a backstage interview, or what do you constitute a broadcast panelist? What do you constitute whatever? Like, I mean, I'm sure that there's probably some sort of official declaration.
I constitute them as whatever they are on that given day.
Yeah. I lump them all in on the rewards as broadcast team, because it's like announcer, commentary, other, but Mackenzie, I think she's a great backstage interviewer. I'm not so familiar with Megan Morant yet, but I really like Ryan Popola and Matt Camp. And when they do their shows, they're great, but they never do like the panels and everything. So it's kind of like, well,
they have to be hired specifically for digital, and they're only allowed to do digital, and they're not on air personas.
Well, the bump and all that,
yeah,
I would assume would be tied into normal contracts, but maybe it isn't. Yeah, maybe there's some kind of like.
If you look at what they do on the bump and all the other shit they have them do, it's very clear that it's different from, what Kayla does on Talking Smack.
Sometimes they break kayfabe and everything. Yeah, strange. I don't know, but I like that little back and forth. And then we had a random open challenge for the United States Championship, which, of course, in typical fashion, they waited until a little bit before the pay-per-view because you got to save something for social, And it was answered by Ricochet.
It sucks how numb to that I am at this point. You know what I mean?
About the gotta save it for social.
Yeah.
I'm not numb to it yet. It still annoys me because I get it, but it doesn't mean I need to like it. I want call me old school, call me an idealist, whatever you want to call me. Just don't call me Shirley. But the idea for me for pay-per-views is you spend the TV shows building up to the pay-per-views. On the go-home show, you've got it all sorted out. You know what the card's going to be, and the only way that you change it is if something happens and you need to change it. Like if, somebody's like, oh man, I got injured and I can't compete tonight. And it's like, oh, well, we need to figure something else out. So then we can announce something different. And I don't like the whole we'll just wait and we'll announce it on the bump. Because that way we'll give them something.
Did they announce it on the bump?
Honestly, I found out about it through Twitter. So it might be something that they talked about there, but I think that it was probably just Twitter.
So, you already know this, and I'll give y'all a quick overview. I was doing my Florida came out. I don't know. I bounce between New York and Florida. It depends on my moment. I was doing a pre-show with the Battleground podcast, and I had a wonderful panel of people there with Iridian Firo and all them, and that's how I found out there was a pre-show match because I completely checked out this weekend from wrestling. So I was like, "Oh, Sheamus is wrestling. Cool. Oh, Ricochet answered. Cool. Maybe they'll give him the belt on the spur of the moment." And they didn't, but they had him steal his clothes.
There were a couple times in the match where he looked like he might win.
Yeah.
And I liked the match quite a bit. I was just like, you know what? For something that has zero build, zero momentum, and really was completely pointless in a lot of ways, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought that I would. And by having Ricochet take the clothes and then, kind of stand tall at the end, I'm like, well, first off, they do this every pay-per-view lately. This is happening for almost a year. We're getting at least one of these matches again, either tomorrow or on Friday. They love lately doing a rematch from the pay-per-view on the week afterward. Or sometimes they wait until the week after that, but it's within 2 episodes they've done a rematch, like Cesaro and Rollins. But I'm assuming we get it tomorrow night. It's just Ricochet gets another shot at the United States Championship. If you would have seen it last night, he almost won on the pre-show, and
But I like Mansoor. Like, what happened to that guy?
Still don't get why they bring him on just so he can lose his thing. Like, it's I don't know.
But isn't it funny though? Like, that has to be what it is at some point. Just isn't it funny though?
I mean, eventually, and I've been doing this a lot with how stressed out I've been in just life in general. You gotta laugh because it just becomes ridiculous.
And I mean, like, for those of you who have followed me on this podcast alone, you've seen my descent from, I don't know, man, I really believe like Dolph Ziggler can do something, to, God, Tony was right about the Fiend. Damn it, like, this sucks. Why, that's just the way it is now.
That whole analogy that you can cook a frog very slowly at a low temperature and it doesn't know that it's being cooked.
Yeah.
I feel like that happens to wrestling fans.
Are we the frog?
Yeah, that we are the frogs. We just slowly but surely catch ourselves where one day we go and we realize, hey, you know what? How many years has it been since I thought the opposite way about such and such? Like, I have told this story before, like, I remember, despite Shawn Michaels being my absolute favorite in-ring performer of all time, I remember being pissed as a kid that Ken Shamrock did not beat him for the WWF Championship. And thinking to myself, like, God damn DX. Like...
Yeah.
It was still kind of real to me at the time. I knew it wasn't really, but it was still kind of like, oh, those assholes, that kind of thing. And me being like, Ken Shamrock's going to win it the next pay-per-view. Like, he'll win it.
It's true.
And now you reach times where it's like, here's going to be the next 4 months of this, and this is exactly how it's going to work out, and I'm not looking forward to it. And then when it happens, you go, told you. That's my win, is being able to say, I told you.
Yeah, I see. I'm just not there yet, but I get it. Like, I'm slowly just becoming more cynical, and that's kind of how I felt here, because it's like Ricochet is on main event regularly with Mustafa Ali, who was supposed to be the leader of the faction that was gonna set everything right during the pandemic. Remember that? That's less than a year ago. Like, you laugh, but it's at this point, it's like, come on, man. That's less than a year ago. Where are those guys?
So you're not sitting at the table yet, but we pulled out a chair for you and you've got your hand on it.
Yeah.
You're thinking about sitting down.
It's such a shame, man.
So I liked that. Again, I'm always going to say, if I like something, I like it. If I didn't, I didn't. And I'm going to give credit. Like, despite the fact that this had nothing really going on for it, I enjoyed the match quite a bit. And that made me enjoy the fact that I watched the pre-show, because cool. If they do Ricochet versus Sheamus tomorrow night, despite the fact that they're just kind of getting a 2-for-1 sort of deal going on, I'll watch it. I mean, obviously I'm going to watch it, because I watch it all, but still.
You'll appreciate that, and then we'll carry on with the show. But during the podcast I was on today, I was talking about main event, now Ricochet is on main event, and they all literally went, who main event's still on the air? Who watches main event? And I had nothing to say but like, oh, sometimes this job isn't all fun. Like, yeah, I still watch main event. I'm aware that it's on every week. Actually, just got told the other day, make sure you're following main event and what's happening there. It's like, God, and nobody knows it's even a thing. How pathetic is that?
And if it wasn't for Peter and for Drew Gulak, we wouldn't even know what day it's on.
That's terrible.
Yeah. Multi-million-dollar company. They don't want to put it up on their website. I don't get it. If you're trying to find out where you can find a link to, like, hey, I'm kind of interested in that review to a kill thing on Fanboys, let me go to fanboysanonymous.com and check out, I don't know, the segments list, or the nav bar, or the front page, or the YouTube links, or the the multiple different methods for you to be able to find things. And that's logic. Yeah. And like in the chat, you shouldn't use logic when it comes to pro wrestling.
I guess not. I mean, kudos to Ricochet. I do hope he gets the belt, just because it'll be something. That I am falling into the trap of. It's just like, give him the belt because it's something.
And I agree with Marquise about was it Marquise that said that? Let me just double check about that. And it was Peter saying upset that he wasn't Keith Lee. I was thinking for a brief minute there, I was like, oh, maybe Keith Lee pops up. That'd be really cool. And then he could win the United States Championship, and it could be a whole he's the surprise challenger and all that. And it sounds mean to say I was disappointed that it was Ricochet, because I really like Ricochet. I want him to do better and everything. So I'm not like, it's a Rey Mysterio and Daniel Bryan at the Royal Rumble thing. People are like, boo, it's not Daniel Bryan. It's like, oh, you're booing Rey. And people will be like, oh, I'm not booing Rey. I'm booing not Daniel Bryan is what I'm booing. And that's kind of like, oh, man, it's Ricochet. It's not Keith Lee. Oh, well, at least it's Ricochet, but it's a shame it's not Keith Lee.
I'm firmly in the point of, like, I just want him to be healthy. And I hope that even if it takes a year or whatever, as long as he can come back healthy, I'm good.
I'm getting more and more worried about it. I'm thinking if we haven't heard anything by now, either he's got some kind of a real serious concussion issue, or
like a Joe, or like something really went wrong,
or he's got some kind of like complications from COVID that they don't want to talk about because they don't want to make it seem like one of our guys got sick from a lack of protocol or something. Or it's some other kind of an issue. Like, I mean, we could speculate, until the cows come home and do some more puns in the meantime. But it's like, it kind of seems like it shouldn't be a creative thing. And if everybody's being so hush about it, that's what's like, yeah, I could go down the rabbit hole of this, but I'll say this sentence. Nobody would care about Area 51 if they just showed everybody what was in there.
Amen.
But you can't if you show them aliens. No, those are at the Dugway Proving Grounds.
It would be utterly unprofessional of me to speculate given my job, so I won't. I'll just say that I hope he's healthy.
Moving on to another topic, let's talk about the Raw Women's Championship triple threat match that started off the actual card past the kickoff. And I wrote down here, my two main thoughts are, this will be good, and I'm nervous about Flair winning. And what happened was, the match was really, really good, and Flair didn't win. So I really liked it.
You were happy?
Yeah. I wanted
Flair to win.
You wanted Flair to win still?
Yeah, like, I just think that she's a more dynamic character. So right now, Rhea Ripley's not doing it for me. I'm willing to give her all the time in the world, but in this moment, she's not doing it for me.
Well, this isn't on Her Majesty's Secret Service. She doesn't have all the time in the world.
Neither did they.
Well, one of the big things that I had taken away from this, and it's funny because Peter puts it in the chat here, I really liked Charlotte's ring gear. And I had the same reaction that Peter has. I thought it was a cow design at first, and I was like, why is she wearing a cow thing? Then I'm like, oh, okay. It's Cruella DeVille. And even though she's not, skin and puppies, which I don't think you could really do in WWE without it being just like, wow, God, this is terrible. The character's clearly not really doing that, but still, even just the idea behind it would be just like, God, nobody wants to see this, But she's got good looking ring gear going on, and I was just like, thumbs up on that.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Maybe she was feeling the cow puns as well.
I like that she had like the Dalmatian gear under the Cruella de Vil jacket. Like that's good. Good.
When's that movie coming out? Sometime soon, right? Let's check this out. So. Cruella movie, 2021. I know that Emma Stone's in it, and I don't remember much else. May 28th. So, really? Right around a good time to be able to do this. Paul Walter Hauser's in this, and Mark Strong, Emma Thompson. Wow.
We'll be doing a fanboys.
Oh, maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I didn't think it really looked all that great, but cast seems pretty good. Yeah, shout out to Time Cow. Yeah. Good old classic joke. Surprised that people stuck around with us when we did the whole Time Cow nonsense. Even more so the Toe Truck Pig nonsense. But yeah, I like this match a lot. I like that despite the fact that all three of them, of course, have been former champions and everything, and Ripley's the one that's going in with the championship and all that, really, realistically, any of them could have won this match. We knew that Asuka wasn't going to, and she didn't look weak, even though she took the pin. Flair was the biggest threat, and she looked like the biggest threat. Ripley didn't look weak in the end. They all had, I think, pretty decent showings. And I liked... Overall, I had a better feeling about this than almost any other match in the whole night.
I liked one more match a little bit better than this. But this is a great match. And the chemistry really came together nicely.
Which edition of one more match? Eddie Guerrero, Shawn Michaels.
I like the Shawn Michaels one because we came up with a unified answer.
If anybody has any idea what we're talking about, one of the segments on Smark Moment is called One More Match. We did one for HBK, China, Eddie Guerrero, and The Undertaker, where we debate, hey, if they had one more match, who would it be? So check that out if you're interested. Plugs, natural plugs. And I'm going to guess your match that you liked better than that was the main event.
Of course it was.
Okay. Well, that's another one that gives it a run for its money. But I enjoyed this quite a bit. I'm glad that they went with Rhea Ripley retaining. And I'm assuming at this point that we get Ripley versus Flair at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, I'll put them in the cage. Listen, the Hell in a Cell match no longer means what it did. It's just a more fancy schmancy cage. So put them in the cage. I'm all for it,
I'm thinking we're getting that, and we're getting the WWE Championship match. But
in the cage?
Yeah. We'll come around back to that.
Getting, well, we'll get to it when we get to the main event, but I think we're getting one of the SmackDown men's.
That's right, too. There's that.
I think we should get, you're going to be mad at me, but Bray Wyatt versus Alexa Bliss. In a fucking cage. And it should be as goofy as all hell, but it should be like watching Mortal Kombat, which I thoroughly enjoyed.
Just go balls to the wall. This is the last time you're in the Thunderdome kind of a thing.
Yeah, like get it out of the way. Because you're in the Thunderdome.
I would like to say I agree, but then I'd be lying. And I don't like lying.
Fair enough.
I'm very good at lying, but I don't like doing it. Go to the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. Earlier in the night, Dominik Mysterio was backstage, and the Dirty Dawgs came up to him and said, hey, fuck you, pal, and attacked him. Didn't really say that, but they said it in so many words. And they...
I would pop if they said, hey, fuck you, pal.
That would be the best. Like, if it's just literally, he goes up to them and he says, oh, you guys ain't gonna wait until later? And they go, hey, fuck you, pal. He just ram its head into the thing. But the story they were being told here was Dominik's he wasn't necessarily not cleared to compete. It was more so, I don't think that you can do this and you should sit it out. So Rey Mysterio goes at it alone. He is facing both.
He's dressed like Batman.
What about Batman?
He's dressed like Batman.
Oh, I thought you said, did I just say Batman? I'm like, did I? Am I just sort of like, and Rey Mysterio, Christian Bale was good, and Ben Affleck was good, and Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez are back together, apparently.
Oh, yeah, that's a thing. We should get into that on Fanboys one day.
Is that like, the world's in a weird spot, so let's go back to Bennifer? That'll solve everything?
That's like, that has to be midlife crisis. Let's go back to when we were both young and all over the tabloids and super hot.
I don't know how the way the world works, but the tag team set up in WWE, at the very least, they let him go through a handicap match for the majority of this match. Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, of course, doing their best to kind of make it seem like, they're beating him down, but also he's putting up a fight. I really like the baseball slide splash that they did, where Mysterio took out Roode, slid on the outside, and landed on top of, I think it was Ziggler. Thought that was pretty fun. Yeah. I really liked Rey beating the 10 count. He almost got counted out.
I thought when this happened that we were going to get one of two things. Either they were just going to replace them altogether with the
Street Profits or something?
Usos.
Oh, the Usos.
Or we were going to get like Dominik in a mask. Like they fucked up his face, so he's Prince Mysterio, and that's how you get him away from being Dominik Mysterio.
I had a couple thoughts. When they were talking about the idea that he would get a replacement, I started trying to figure out, well, who could be the replacement? And I was just like, nobody springs to mind, but maybe they've got some kind of what they would consider to be an ace up their sleeves, and maybe this is something like, oddly enough, like a Cain Velasquez. I was just like, maybe that's their plan, is something like that.
You are such a negative person, you know something?
And I was like, more than likely, it's going to be Dominik comes out, or nobody comes out and Rey loses, and this is just their means of stalling, where they would be like, you know what, Rey lost the match, but he only lost the match because it was 2-on-1, so over the course of the next 2 months, we're going to drag this out, and eventually when we have fans, then we'll do the match. And I was thinking to myself, God, I don't want to see that. Like, as much as I argue that Dominik and Rey should have won those titles at WrestleMania, and they should have had that fatal 4-way at Mania, and you should have taken one spot away from the 2 women's tag team titles matches, and maybe, I don't know, if you wanted to give the titles to Natty and Tamina, they could have won them on the first night, and then opened up the time for the fatal 4-way for the SmackDown tag titles.
Amen, brother.
But the setup was more so me thinking that than that there was going to be somebody else coming in. And the idea of like Rey wrestling the match, then Dominik comes out and he's got, the heroes like, I'm going to, gut it out and I'm going to do that. It works. I'm glad that he immediately caught a spine buster, because then that was kind of like the whole, like, it's not going to be that easy, kid, kind of a thing. I mentioned before about the count out. Rey was like, it was like 9.5 and Rey got back in there. So little moments like that I appreciate, even though it's not the biggest deal in the world. And I really appreciated that Dominik was the one who got the pin.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. And you know what? Things that make sense are good. And I can't complain.
Good things are good. Fun things are fun. Tasty things are tasty. Cute things are cute. Say what you mean what you say. Be fair. These are the rules that you got to boil down the rest of the world.
That's right.
So I'm glad that we have the first ever father and son tag team champions. History's been made. I think that these two needed to win these belts, and I'm happy for them.
I agree.
Marco asks, just tuning in, when did the show end? Seems early. Around a little bit after 10, I think, right?
Like yeah, that sounds
after 10
right.
Or so. It ended, let's see how long we've been on the air. We've been on the air for 40 minutes, so it ended about 50 minutes ago. I think it took us about 10 minutes to get started. That makes sense. That'd be a little bit after 10. So after that, we had a whole thing with Jimmy and Jey Uso that carried on a couple times throughout the night. Jimmy, of course, still doing the whole thing of like, why are you Roman's bitch? And Jey being like, come on.
Be nice.
Yeah, stop that.
He got so like mad about it too.
Yeah, saying that the locker room should say Roman Reigns and his bitch. And that's just the recurring theme of this current storyline is Jimmy's just like,
hey,
you're Roman's bitch. And Jay's like, no, I'm not.
Stop it, you.
Yeah, you are. That whole thing is also peppered in there when it comes to the next match. They had a backstage segment where John Morrison went ahead trying to find the Lumberjacks because he's going to talk some sense into them. I liked his little line where he said, they don't call me the moist sea superstar of all time. Johnny Drip Drip and everything. And
I do enjoy that.
You can tell Morrison's having fun. I like that when you can see that.
Why not? He's making a lot of money. Fuck him. But he just, fuck it, have fun.
Yeah, Taya's in NXT. He's having fun with his bud. He's making money. I don't know if he lives in Florida, but I think he does. Or does he live in LA or something?
They do live in California. I don't know.
Huh. So
either way, good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. At this point, making money, having fun with your buds is like the dream for me. So
yeah,
I gotta say,
I'll never be disappointed in seeing when a wrestler's having fun and enjoying their work. I mean, I might not like their work. Morrison's not one of those guys, though. I really like Morrison. And he finds out that the locker room with the Lumberjacks inside of it is filled with zombies. The pause and the is a good way to talk about this.
Okay, so I don't know if I'm breaking fourth wall here, but I had heard about this as I was on the air.
I thought you were going to say, I don't know if I'm breaking the fourth wall, but zombies aren't real.
I got a bit of the Iggy, like, hey, they might do this. And I went, no. Like, no, why? And then they fucking did it. And what's the best thing is they tied it into Batista.
Yeah. This was a tie-in for Batista's new film coming on Netflix on the 21st, if I remember correctly, called Army of the Dead. It's a Zack Snyder zombie film. It looks ridiculous, and I am very excited to watch it and do a like, not live in the sense like we're doing this live show right now, but we're going to do one of those fan tracks that we've been doing recently where Rob and I will literally not watch the movie ahead of time. We're going to go and start it as we start it. So when anybody wants to watch it along with us for the first time, if they want to, it'll be just our immediate reactions of, oh, this character's going to die. And like, oh, the way that they blew that guy's head off, that's crazy and all that. I'm excited to watch it because sometimes watching a bad movie like that is just fun. Check out the Mortal Kombat one, for instance.
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly what I was going to say. This was atrocious.
Look, I'll say this. I understand why everybody hates it. It's dumb, it's terrible, whatever.
But
I don't hate it as much as everybody else does.
Is that just because your brain is checked out? Like you're just like,
I mean, to a certain extent, and I'm sure that people have been hearing this just in my voice the past couple of weeks and stuff. I am well past the whole, like, my brain's checked out in a lot of ways. I am fully towards if the pay-per-view breaking point would return kind of thing. So maybe it was a matter of me being like, this is dumb and haha, and I don't have to really think much about it.
For me, it's very much becoming, and I'm not like an AEW fanboy by any means, but Dynamite is very much becoming the only wrestling show where I'm like, oh, cool. They kind of look like the wrestling I grew up watching. Because this was just silly, man. But outside of the silliness of the match, we just have a bone to pick real quick with the presentation. If you could do that, if you could just like make things a little more gritty and a little more specialized with the flip of a switch, why haven't you been doing that this entire pandemic?
Like the screens that were on there?
Yeah, or like just like shutting down the lights, giving it a little bit more of a gritty feel. Not the full zombie apocalypse that they did, but just like a grittier feel. You could have done it.
I
Like,
think that there's a lot of missed opportunities that they could have done. With not even just like the Bray Wyatt stuff, but any of those. Like they could have replaced the Thunderdome footage with like, I don't know, say they were doing a match. What was like the most hardcore match that they've been doing in this whole environment?
let's say Hell in Cell just for the sake of it.
They could have like flames around
They
there
did
instead of the Thunderdome.
I thought for whatever we want to say about Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, I thought that their Inferno match was fucking good. I thought the way they used the Thunderdome was good.
The flames popping up around the screens and stuff. That was a better variation.
They should have been doing that for a long time, man.
Ted in the chat asks, was Rob in the Superdome? I thought I saw you on one of the screens. No, Hulk Hogan was in the Superdome.
I was not in the Thunderdome.
Sorry, Ted, I had
to. You'd be surprised to learn there are a lot of people who wear backwards hats and have beards and glasses that are wrestling fans.
You were in the Thunderdome at one point, like months ago, right?
It once, and I was like flabbergasted by how not special it is. I thought it's a huge missed opportunity.
I thought that it was funny that I think it was the Cesaro match. I'm blanking on exactly on which one it was. I'm pretty sure it was Cesaro. Somebody was booing. Like it did the thumbs down, like, boo, we don't like this guy. When that, like, one of the baby faces, if it wasn't Cesaro, it was somebody like, you know, it wasn't Damien Priest. Maybe it was Ricochet. I don't know. Whatever it was just funny that it was like, you know, this person's booing and clearly not being told to do that because from what I've heard, they are like, oh, I want to see lots of energy, everybody. Let's clap and cheer on this person and whatever. And stood out to me as funny. Oh, thank you to Marquise, by the way, for the super chat. He says, I'd rather watch Miz and Morrison play patty cake.
To
be fair, if they announced Miz and Morrison are going to have a patty cake match, I'd be way more interested than if they just said like, hey, you know, tomorrow night we're going to get like Dana Brooke against Charlotte Flair again or something. I'd be like, well, you know, I like Dana much more now over the years and whatever, but let's see what's going on with this patty cake match, huh?
I'll give you that.
Anytime they announce that something's different at this point, I'm more interested.
It's the Barney Stinson rule at this point, isn't it?
New is better.
New is always better. It's like, it really has become that, hasn't it?
I always subscribe to the idea better is better. Change is never inherently good or bad. It's always the potential for both. But new is always more interesting. I'll give them that.
Yeah, I've started to subscribe to the theory recently that like anything that's a breath of fresh air is better. Even if it's for like a month. I needed that fresh air for that month.
We're going to have a lot more breaths of fresh air after this pandemic is over with.
Yeah.
Just walking outside and going, ah, you know.
Well, where I live, you can just about do that at this point.
The Marquis says, I bet Callum hated this. Callum is going to definitely give us his opinion about it in some fashion, I'm sure.
The only thing that sucks about when Callum doesn't do the live stuff is that by the time we get to him, he's usually let it past by now and he's over it. Just 'cause he's like, oh yeah, it sucked, but everything sucks. You know?
It's no longer this like a really offensive thing. It's kind of like, well, time's passed, so now I don't hate it as much, but it still sucked, sort of a thing. And Michael says, my wife, not a fan but aware of stuff because of me, was just staring at it the whole match like, what the fuck are we watching?
Did she ask for a divorce? I apologize. I mean,
that's where I come in with like, look, I get why everybody hates this. I'm not going to crap on it as much, but I would be very embarrassed if I was watching this with somebody who would have been like, you know, I don't know, like it's a first date and you take somebody to a movie and the movie's garbage or something, you know? This would be like, hey, I do this for a living. I talk about how the zombies almost got the one guy. And you know.
So, like, the girl I'm talking to right now knows nothing about pro wrestling. So
bless her heart.
I'm concerned that she will either love it for how off the wall it is, or just think what I do is the stupidest thing in the world. And I'd be okay with it either way because I understand. I get it.
Yeah, it's the whole like, oh, wow, this is really goofy and fun. You go, yeah, wrestling can be really goofy and fun. Or somebody goes, wow, this is really goofy and stupid. And you go, yeah, yeah, it is. Like, I really had one of those moments when, you know, at this point, 2 years ago, almost, a year and a half ago, whatever the math would be. I don't know. My brain's checked out. I told you that already. When I was typing up, like, let me get a new post going on the website about how Santa Claus is the 24/7 champion. I was just kind of like, I gotta type that up, you know, kind of. Then it's just like, I'm gonna analyze that and go, well, Santa, you know, he's got probably some good finishers, and you know, he's quick. He gets everything done in a day, and
yeah, that's one for Sigmund Freud, ain't it?
If I was calling a match, I'd just be like, oh, he sacked him with something, and you know. Just,
ho ho ho! Santa's getting the job done.
That was something that was interesting. Though Damien Priest wins, he beats the Miz. The zombies then attack the Miz, and
what does that mean?
Yeah, I guess he's gonna pop up on Raw tomorrow as a zombie because that's how zombies work.
No. Look, I don't know. that could very well be what happened.
Well, you get bitten by a zombie, you turn into a zombie. Them's the rules. Unless it's like one of those other movies where it's like, well, they're not really zombies. We're cool. We don't do zombies. We do like, you know, this thing is exactly the same as zombies, but they're not. It's like, okay, well, just like your vampires that suck blood and, you know, can't be around garlic and can't see themselves in the mirrors or whatever, but they're not vampires. They're like super bat people or whatever the fuck. I don't know.
Stalkers.
Yeah, one of those things. Is that how it is in Twilight? I've never seen Twilight. You've watched.
Look, I was trying to think about Twilight because I saw the first one in theaters, but like I don't know. He fucking sparkled, and the teenage girls were just very, oh my god, he's sparkling. That was the extent of Twilight.
Oh my god, he's a good-looking guy, and he's just like my folder.
That being said,
I'm imagining like Lisa Frank. It's like glittery folders.
That being said, I think Robert Pattinson's gonna kill it as Batman.
We'll see. I think he'll be a better Batman than Rey Mysterio was earlier.
I think so. He won't need Robin to get the job done.
We can bank on that at the very least. Michael says Miz and Morrison need to stumble out tomorrow night on Raw, undead, literally walking around just going brains. Yeah.
But like Cameron Grimes did this, and then he left and got rich.
Yeah, and now he's feuding with Ted DiBiase, who's going to be on NXT this week again. That's so cool.
But he'll be in the ring this time, which I like.
Oh, that's what they announced? I thought that they just announced he was going to be on the show.
Well, that's why he's going to be there. I assumed that they announced it. That meant he was going to be like in the ring.
Cutting a promo or something.
Yeah.
Goddamn Ted DiBiase. Kiss my grits. Marquis says that's the right word for this. It was fucking embarrassing.
Yeah, but it was. Honestly, it was. We have a lot of fun here, but like this is the kind of stuff that makes you go, I could be doing anything else right now.
He says, if you're a wrestling diehard and you're trying to bring a new fan in and you show them this shit, your face is buried in the palm of your hands in pure disgust and embarrassment. Yeah. This shit's just fuel for people to say, you know, wrestling is fake, right? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Ted's asking why no RK Bro tonight. They're the most entertaining tag team. I still think that they're winning those titles from AJ Styles and Omos.
Who is big?
And not as many other people are, but Babatunde is.
He sure is.
Sleigh Ride
I
from
think
Hell is a hell of a finisher. Yeah.
I think RK Bro will win the tag belts. I think they'll do it on Raw though, because that's the new thing.
Yeah, you gotta split things up a little bit, like our Fatal 4-Way that we're getting for the Intercontinental Championship on SmackDown. Can't do that on a pay-per-view, right?
Would have been great on this show.
Miz could do what AJ did after his Mania match with Taker, just not be dead. I still am hoping that Miz and Morrison do not break up. And maybe this leads to it, maybe it doesn't. But yeah, in the grand scheme of things, they dragged out this feud an extra month to do a tie-in for Army of the Dead. And I should be complaining about it. But I'm not. It's whatever. Look, it's not the worst thing that happened to me today. I'll say that.
All right, I'll level with you there. It's not the worst thing that happened to me either.
And I wouldn't say it's the best thing that ever happened to me either, because I got a bag of 3D Doritos next to me that I haven't tried yet. And I've been wanting 3D Doritos to come back since they first stopped being around, because they were amazing. So I get to try that later. So that might be the best thing that happened to me today. I don't know.
Now, is that a thing that was it the no label on the bag Doritos?
No, but I don't like that whole design thing.
I kind of dig that. That's kind of cool.
Too minimalist for me, despite how much I love minimalism.
I'll grant you that.
Peter says one is a zombie, one's not, and the other one turns. Ms. Zombie John Morrison has to put him down, I guess. Yeah.
Poor Frankie and poor Maurice. They got kids, bro. Like, can't just be being zombies. Unless
you convert them, and then you could all be zombies together.
That's some very Kurt Connors logic there, Tony.
Look, if there's any villains in the Spider-Man franchise that make a lot of sense,
it's true.
He's certainly, far more reasonable than Carnage. God, I want to talk more about Spider-Man. At some point, we'll do the Mount Rushmore of Spider-Man villains.
We keep forcing fanboys talking to this.
Because Fanboys is so fun. And really, if you are interested in the fanboy stuff, definitely check it out, everybody. We have a wide variety of topics that we want to talk about. I want to do another Pokemon battle as well, too. So yeah. We did the bonus features the other day. That was a lot of fun. We did that on the Patreon exclusive, the same thing as the dark casts that are on the Patreon thing. So, you want more fanboy stuff, you can get as much fanboy stuff as you want. Pick your poison tier. Now, this was a tie-in, as I said, Army of the Dead. We're going to talk about that down the line. Not the most vicious, hardcore match that you can imagine of all time, by any means. And they really could have done a lot of stuff with this, because they could have had, people taking out the zombies by, like, popping their limbs off and whatever. I think that would have been a lot more fun. But they didn't, so kind of it is what it is. I know one thing that might have worked on the zombies, if they would have lit their crotch on fire and used a weed whacker on it.
Well, first of all, professional wrestlers should stop doing this. But tell me more.
That was the thing that happened the other day. We would normally save this for the hot tags, but it's a joke that I'm going with, so we'll talk about it.
These are some hot tags, Tony.
This was
crotch was on fire.
PWT Southern Sickness Cup, where JJ Allen and somebody else, who was the other one?
Eric Ryan?
Sure. They did this thing where the one set the one's crotch on fire and then used a weed whacker on it. And that is just like, what?
I don't even know what to say here, guys. Like, you shouldn't do this. But if you do, and you find yourself looking down and saying, my God, I'm burned, it's a mess down there, how do I clean this up? I think our friends at Manscaped can help you out with that.
Yeah, if you're looking for a weed whacker, that's what we got to talk to you about, because this episode is sponsored in part with support from Manscaped. Smart Out Moment is partnering up with them, and if you don't know who they are the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world that offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, and they have products called things like the Lawnmower 4.0 and the Weed Whacker. So if you are interested in what they've got going on there, of course, go to if I can talk, I would say it correctly. You go to manscaped.com and use the promo code SMARK, SMARK, just like the website, because it's our partnership deal that we got going on right now. And you will get 20% off and free worldwide shipping for your different products, including the Lawnmower 4.0 and the Weed Whacker, which at this point, I've tried the Lawnmower, you've tried the Lawnmower, and Dace has gotten the Weed Whacker. I haven't gotten a whole lot of a breakdown from him on this one, but he went out of his way to be like, I got this and I don't know what to do with it yet. I just bought something and I am going to try to figure it out. Sort of.
Well, Dace, when you're down in the basement and you're like, I should trim my nose hair, that's the Weed Whacker.
I think he bought it not noticing that it was a nose trimmer, but it tells you, like, I mean, it's certainly, you go to manscaped.com, you'll find a whole bunch of information about all the different things that they've got going on here. And they've got a wide variety of different products, of course. I'm going to actually go out of my way right now to set myself up here with my my little OBS setup and show you guys a little bit of these, because it'll take a little bit of time to highlight some things. So you can see it on my screen right now. We've got our performance package, as if this is something that I can do anything but attest to. The product.
It should be because you should be loving your Manscaped tech.
Yeah, you got the ball donor, you got your ball deodorant. You click on shop now. You can check out all the different products that they've got here. I can also attest to the boxers and the shirt. I'm wearing the shirt right now, actually, and very, very comfortable. So there's your.
Be clear, you have the ball toner. Not ball donor. They do not sell testicle donors through Manscaped.com.
You can see here the Weed Whacker Lawnmower 3.0 in this package at the very least. You can pick up the 4.0, which is the new one. And all these different packs and everything like that. No matter what it is that you're picking up, if you use that promo code of SMARK, you get your 20% off and your free shipping, and you help support the website. So it's a win-win-win, where if you're interested in checking out stuff from Manscaped and helping out with all your hygiene needs, and you want to help support the website, then those are great ways to do it. And any and all that you guys do with this is greatly appreciated, just the same as everything else that you guys do to help us out. So definitely check it out.
Your balls are going to thank you. Your lady friends or your guy friends, or really anybody who's looking down there is going to thank you. And more importantly than that, we're going to thank you.
Yes, we do. So we also want to thank Manscaped for this promo that we have going on right now and for supporting us with this sponsorship deal. And we want to thank you guys for listening about it. And we're going to move on here to the next thing that we're talking about. After we got the oddball situation with the, I should say oddball right after that, the oddball situation with the zombies and the lumberjack match and all that, we went into the SmackDown Women's Championship match, Bianca Belair versus Bayley. To be honest, underwhelmed.
Little sloppy here from my homegirls, and I love these girls. Don't think this is me crapping on the girls. Love them so much. A little sloppy here, but that's okay. Shit happens, Sometimes house show matches are a little rough, and they don't have those, so they gotta work out the kinks on live TV.
They're much more capable of better, and I just assumed that they would be having a better match, and it wasn't bad. It just was kind of bland. It was just a match. And again, just as you said, not crapping on the girls for the sake of crapping on the girls. I think that another match that we'll talk about, well, I'll just say it. The next match, I think, was underwhelming in a lot of ways as well. So I'm disappointed about that, because we have seen this already, and I would have thought that it would have been better. So now I feel like I kind of just wasted my time.
Well, I like what they tried to do with the whole, they're using the hair. I thought the ripcord with the hair into the Bayley to belly was phenomenal. I thought that was a cool spot. But when they tried to roll her up with the hair, and that was a little shaky on the ending, but it's a tough spot to pull off. So, kudos to them for trying. They'll get it right on the next one. It's just that I was expecting a little bit more on this.
I don't want another one. I don't want these two
Tony?
against each other at
You're
Hell in a Cell.
You're getting another one.
Oh, we're probably getting like 10 more. I mean, look at the way that they had done Nikki Cross against Bayley. Like they don't have much going on. And
you know what though? You spent so long making fun of that, and poor Nikki hasn't been on TV since then. So I miss that because poor Nikki just wants to wrestle.
See, my issue was never, oh, Nikki's wrestling, because I like Nikki. It was just, oh my God, can somebody else fight Bayley? Just sort of like, I love pizza. I ate it last night for dinner. Wasn't really in the mood to eat it. But, pizza's still pizza. It's still always going to be at least some good. And if I ate it today and I ate it tomorrow and I ate it the next day, by the next day, I'd be like, I got to eat something other than pizza.
Yeah, that's why I haven't gotten pizza in a while.
Now, realistically, the way that I love pizza, the day that I wouldn't eat it, the next day I'd probably be like, yeah, be up for some pizza. Just kind of a little bit of a break with pasta and pizza and chocolate and whatever can make a big difference. But, even somebody like a Nikki or Bayley or Bianca, I'm a fan of all three of them. And I just don't like seeing repeat matches as often. And when I do see the repeat matches, I want them to get better.
Right.
Like Cesaro and Sheamus, they had 7 matches with each other, I think.
That's the 7, yep.
After they had a couple other matches. And it really did get to a point where it was like they're stepping it up each time. Just doing the match doesn't really.
Early brand split ideas.
How long ago was the whole thing with starting the bar?
5 years.
5 years ago. That's so weird to think that somebody could have been entering high school and they're in college in a year.
All right, we don't gotta make me feel super old about it, pal.
Yeah. How's it make you feel when you think about we mentioned recently the last time that John Cena was in the main event of WrestleMania?
What is that, 9 years now? It's been a while, and it's kind of scary, actually.
Compare that to little kids, where you end up going oh my God, this person's a teenager and they didn't exist when such and such happened, and you're just like, no, that's not how it works.
I'm not old.
Yeah, it's not me that's old, it's the world that changed around me.
No, it's not me, the children are wrong.
Yeah, it's all the clocks. Everybody's got to set them differently. It's not my gray hair or my horrible back or any of the other things. My hair's getting so gray, it's ridiculous.
I saw that the other day. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah. Every time I get my hair cut, the girl that cuts my hair is just kind of like, when'd you start, going gray in this spot? I'm like, I don't know, Jordan. Yesterday, maybe.
Yeah, yesterday, exactly.
It's sort of that. You're not listening to the podcast for therapy hour. That's what we did before and after the podcast. But Peter said this was the worst match of the night. He also said that he left for 4 weeks and he got so caught off by the Manscaped ad.
Yeah,
pretty cool, isn't it, Peter? Sean in the chat says, "Hey, want to hear my idea on what should have happened in the main event today? Definitely drop it in the comments below, Sean." And I have no talking points about the Bianca and Bayley match other than nah.
I said what I had to say. The ending was supposed to be cool. Got a little botched. I ain't mad at it. Shit happens.
Shit does happen.
It does.
Let's move on to the next match that I also thought was underwhelming. The WWE Championship Triple Threat match between Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, and Braun Strowman. And this is the match that I think is also going to lead to a Hell in a Cell thing. I think we're getting Drew McIntyre against Bobby Lashley because predominantly in this match, I got the impression that McIntyre was the one that they were protecting more. And I think that that's going to be the end of their feud.
I think that McIntyre should be done. He's had a couple of chances now. He lost. He should be done. Braun Strowman got pinned. He should be done. Put somebody else in this position. I told you on the show, on the previous show for this, I was like, I'm not feeling this at all. I like all of the guys, not so much Braun anymore. He's permanently like Big Show to me. But I like Bobby, I like Drew. I don't need to see them fight again. It's been so underwhelming because they're doing the thing where they're just like, this should be a big deal because look at the size of them. That was one of the things for this match. Like, well, there's like looks of beef in this ring. Look how big they are. It's like, yeah. And tell you the truth, I like this match a lot more than I thought I would. That's because I went into it with no expectations of anything interesting whatsoever. So when I got there, I was like, oh, that was actually kind of fun. But I don't need to see this again. Put Bobby against Bray. Put him against Randy. Put him against RK Bro in a handicap match. Put him against anybody. We don't need to run this back with Drew. And where are Mason T-Bar? Where are they? You laugh. I don't know what you're laughing for. Where'd they go?
I'm laughing for two reasons. One being, where are Mason T-Bar? Like, they did that whole, like, let's get rid of the Hurt Business so that we could break up even Shelton and Cedric and then have Mason T-Bar and then not do anything with them. And the second reason I'm laughing is because I always still think of it as that there's just one guy named Mason T-Bar. Hey, my name's Mason. Mason T-Bar.
Mason, no, it's Mason T-Bar.
It would be, my name's T-Bar. Mason T-Bar. He orders his drinks instead of shaken, not stirred. He's just like, give me a vat of stuff. The one thing I did like about this, and I actually really liked it, and it sounds really dumb. This might have been my favorite LED board spot that we've seen ever.
Why? It was like different, and it wasn't. He threw him through a little hole, and it exploded right on cue.
That's the thing. It was not the most impressive looking. It was not the biggest fall. It was not the craziest spot, whatever. But they actually hit it at the exact moment, and they didn't overdo the pyro. That was the most believable looking one that I think I've ever seen.
To the point where I thought something happened to him. I was like, oh, did they hit it too early? Oh shit, I hope he's not like on fire. You know?
That was just like, oh wow, like the people who pulled that off, they really pulled it off. And I'm like, hats off to those guys. Like,
good table spot as well.
9 times out of 10, that ends up being where it's just like, I mean, look at what happened with the ring and AEW, where it's just kind of like, oh my god, all this fire and pyrotechnics and pyro. That's the combination of it. My brain's just like, get to the point. But the pyro, as I call it, ends up being like, the fizzling out, or it goes on for too long, where you're like, all right, we can tell that this is pyro. It's not like the electrical thing would do that. This was just enough of a pop that it's like, oh yeah, maybe they could have blown a fuse or something. Sometimes less is more.
I liked it a lot.
That's my favorite part of this match, easily. And it just sort of ends with Lashley pinning Strowman because, of course, he's not going to put him in the Hurt Lock and make him tap out. So it was all right. Like, I think the way that I worded it was, if you missed it, you didn't really miss anything. But if you saw it, I'm sure you weren't like pissed.
And I thought this was good because it was a fun car crash triple threat. And I think everybody played their role perfectly.
And then, of course, Bobby Lashley retains. So, as I said, I think that we're getting McIntyre against Lashley in Hell in a Cell. And then, I don't know what they're going to do with Strowman, but maybe all three of them fight in the Hell in a Cell. Maybe somebody else comes along. Maybe it's just some other kind of match, and it's not the cage.
Can I manifest that? Like, Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley, put him in a cage, let him fight.
You got to do it with the fans.
Why?
Because then you get people to go nuts about it.
They've done a lot of things without fans that I really thought could only happen with fans. See Sasha and Bayley last year at Hell in a Cell.
No, that just needed to happen. Get it out of the way.
They deserve better.
So does Dominik, but anyway, the main event was the Universal Championship match. Cesaro going in as challenger, Roman Reigns going in as champion. Roman Reigns coming out as champion. I've got a couple of different notes here. One of them being Pat McAfee's microphone got screwed up at some point. They eventually showed a production shot of just like, you know, the screen kind of, let me see what Marquis had put it on here. It's like PCR 601 program, 11:29, 47 p.m. Just showing like, I don't know exactly what, because it's got FaceTime 1 as a camera option, a bunch of blank things, and then a shot of like a set of stairs in a basement.
So you saw that too?
Yeah.
So in the Fightful chat, we were like, did you see it? I saw it. And so Sean and I saw it, because Berto didn't see it. I'm glad you saw it. That makes me feel like I'm not crazy.
Well, I mean, it doesn't deny it.
All right, well, it's fine.
but you definitely didn't see something right then. You might have seen plenty of other stuff throughout the night that I didn't see. But this match was really good.
Yeah. It was a little wrestling match. Imagine that. They fucking went out there and wrestled.
Cesaro had a lot of variety in his offense. He not only did technical wrestling, but he did some power moves. He jumped off the top rope. He did some speed things. So he got to showcase a whole wide variety of things.
And God bless Roman Reigns, who is the best trash talk. I'm going to miss the Thunderdome when it comes to Roman Reigns. How about you?
Yeah, one of the best highlights of his matches is the things that he's saying in it.
Yeah, I'm going to miss it. Because at one point, Cesaro's arm starts hurting and gets injured. And Roman's just like, I love wrestling. This is fun for me. You want to tell me I don't have like love for this? This is fun for me. And then he starts talking to Daniel Bryan. Hey, DB, hope you're enjoying your house. Like, God, Roman's so good.
Really so makes you think, what could have happened with John Cena, you know?
Yeah.
A seasoned John Cena who knows what he's doing, who turns heel. That could have been amazing, too.
It should have happened.
Maybe it will. I don't know, but...
Yeah, we still got some time.
Then again, if he's doing the lightning fist, I don't really want to see that, so... He said recently he wants to come back, so that's good.
Yeah, and I hope he... Like, one more run. I keep saying this with John. Like, 1 year. Give me a year of John Cena to say goodbye, and I'll be like, okay, I'm good.
Sean in the chat had said about his idea for what he wanted to go in the main event. He said, in his opinion, Jimmy and Jay should have attacked each other and started feuding. And then Seth should have attacked Cesaro. Ref calls for a DQ, so Cesaro doesn't really lose, even though he, doesn't win the title. Then he beats Seth at Hell in a Cell, and they keep feuding. Then Cesaro and Seth keep feuding, and Cesaro versus Roman again happens at SummerSlam with fans, and maybe Cesaro wins. There could have been a way to go about that.
So, I don't want to skip over the match, so I'll just say some stuff real quick. I loved the going for the springboard uppercut, and this dude got Superman punched down. One of the audible oh shit moments for me. I loved Cesaro really fighting through the guillotine and trying so hard not to just pass out. I love that there was no low blow.
I'm a big fan of him winning clean.
Love that there was no low blow.
No interference from the Usos or Paul Heyman or a low blow or some kind of cheating or just flat out the referee not doing his job like in the Kevin Owens match. He just won. And if you hate him for it, then that's good because he's a heel. And
he's doing his fucking job.
If you don't hate him for it and you just kind of respect it, then he goes more with the whole yeah, well, I am the tribal chief. See? There's no negative to that. Outside of the idea that, of course, a lot of people were rooting for Cesaro, but we knew he wasn't going to win. So, and he passed out instead of tapping out for Peter's acknowledgement there. So he doesn't look weak in that either. He never really tapped out. It's just he passed out,
and he got right up and was like, "No, I can go, I'm okay."
Yeah,
and he didn't realize the bell had already rung. I like that a lot. Good finish. Big fan of the match. Big fan of the aftermath, and I know we're going to differ there. Yeah, I like the aftermath a lot.
After the match, Jey Uso comes out, and he I was gonna say he lays Roman Reigns, but that's not the right verbiage. He puts a lay on Roman Reigns,
Yes.
and he says, "Let me get him," and he just goes after Cesaro. And then Seth Rollins comes out, and for a brief moment, I'm thinking, is he gonna even the odds? And it's gonna be like that Rollins kind of has like a change of pace, and now he's gonna be the next challenger against Roman and whatever. But not, he attacks Cesaro as well.
So for a minute, and this is very good just because, again, I got swerved twice. They put the lay on Roman, and I got immediately flashed back to Hell in a Cell. And I went, Hell in a Cell is next month. They can fucking fight right now. Like, he can swerve, and Jimmy and Jay can beat him up. And he went for Cesaro, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. Seth Rollins comes out, and I'm like, oh, this is where they're going. And he goes for Cesaro, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Now I have no clue what's gonna happen next. And damn it, I like it. Because I don't know. I don't want to know what's gonna happen next.
I kind of just assume we get Cesaro versus Rollins inside Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, but in what universe can you possibly complain about that match?
The WWE universe.
Okay, I walked right into that.
You really set that one up. That was a softball, as there ever was one.
I liked it. I liked that Rollins came right back and was like, he wasn't doing the I'm the Messiah. Just want to point that out. He just kept saying, I'm Seth freaking Rollins. You don't embarrass me. So
At
it
some
seems
point,
like they're gone with the Messiah, and they're just like, he's Seth Rollins. He's a heel. We're going to transition him to babyface because we're going to need him to fight Roman at SummerSlam.
So question number 1, do you like Rollins better as a heel or face?
I think Rollins is best as the burn it down babyface.
When do you think we're going to get Cesaro out of the picture and Rollins against Reigns?
SummerSlam. Well, to be clear, I think Cesaro's out of the picture next month. And then SummerSlam. Or maybe even Money in the Bank. If they really have nothing for Money in the Bank, we can get up Money in the Bank.
Until they do something that makes me think otherwise, which I wasn't expecting Rollins to come out and beat down Cesaro and all that. And I certainly wasn't expecting Hell in a Cell to be the next pay-per-view. I figured, if anything, that they would switch Extreme Rules and Money in the Bank, but I'm kind of assuming at this point, Cesaro beats Rollins inside Hell in a Cell. Rollins then has the change of heart.
And then respects him,
and respects him for, beat me again. We beat the hell out of each other, and, that kind of a thing. And the pay-per-view after that is either Rollins against Reigns, because that one will be the first one with fans, most likely. Or that'll be the other Cesaro match, and Reigns is not competing at Hell in a Cell.
Reigns should compete at Hell in a Cell. Even if it's straight up, just the same shit they did last year, but against Jimmy now, Reigns should beat the fuck out of somebody inside the cage.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. Just Jimmy against Reigns, and then he has to beat him down, and it's just like, I did this to your brother. I'll do it to you too. And then he does.
Where this is going. Stop it.
I'd be okay with that. That'd be kind of neat.
He looks at Jay and goes, I'll do to him what I did to you. You better tell him to stop. You know what's about to happen here.
Yeah. And then it'll be like, your brother is not going to be on your side to back you up the way that you were with him. You're going to have both of us against you, Jimmy. Fuck you, pal. Kind of a thing.
I like it.
Same fuck you, pal from earlier. It's at the end of his speech, Ziggler and Roode come out and just go, yeah, fuck you, pal. And just run away again.
I like it.
Maybe they do something with Daniel Bryan. Maybe he comes back in time and they do Daniel Bryan against Roman Reigns and inside Hell in a Cell.
I like the idea of Daniel Bryan outside of WWE too much right now. Go listen to that podcast where we openly speak about Daniel Bryan outside of WWE. and Callum says he doesn't have the balls to go outside of WWE. That was an amazing discussion.
If he does have the balls, he should definitely use manscaped.com.
Ayo, code Smark.
And then that's our whole breakdown of WrestleMania Backlash. We don't know where this is leading 100%, but we're leading towards Hell in a Cell in some fashion. So
I hope they never call another pay-per-view WrestleMania anything again. That was so stupid.
Yeah, I don't want this to be a regular thing.
It's Backlash, and that's okay.
I still prefer Backlash over Payback. And I still definitely prefer Backlash over WrestleMania Backlash.
Pay-Backlash?
I actually wrote a thing about that before in the past. I don't remember where I posted it, but I posted something that was like a stream of consciousness thing. It might have been even like Twitter or something about me being like, why don't I just do Pay Backlash? And just being like, you know, or maybe it was a fever dream that I never posted it. Yeah, Marquis says it's going to be Hell in a Cell Backlash. Well, no, it'll be WrestleMania Backlash. It's going to be the next one.
Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, WrestleMania Backlash, Hell in a Cell. And then after that, when it's like, we're going to have fans at the WrestleMania Backlash, Hell in a Cell Backlash.
Running back.
Extreme Rules. In the back. There's a chance that we get Sasha against Bianca in Hell in a Cell. I don't think so. There's a chance that we get Ripley and Flair. I think it's almost a guarantee. And we should find out over the course of the next few weeks, but we might not find out until June 20th. Save it for social. I don't know.
You never know.
Either way, if you liked it or you didn't like it, hopefully you're dropping your comments below and telling us what you thought about WrestleMania Backlash. Same thing for if you like this podcast, which
I hope you like this podcast. I'm not. Listen, I'll say right now, Callum Wiggins is a much finer co-host than I. He can stay on track, and he does not get sidetracked the way I do. But I like bullshitting with my buddy here, so I hope you like that.
If you guys enjoy it as much as we enjoy doing them, then that's a good thing. That's a good sign. So let us know that. Hit the like button and everything. Follow us all over the place on all of our socials where we don't save anything necessarily for it. Although every once in a while, I just kind of post something like willy-nilly, just sort of like, this is a stream of consciousness thought sort of thing. I said willy-nilly, not Little Nelly. We talk about that on You Only Live Twice. So you can follow me at Tony Mango. You could follow Smark Out Moment at Smark Out Moment. You can follow Fanboys Anonymous at Fanboys Anon, or on, plenty of the other things.com/Fanboys Anonymous, like Facebook and such. You can follow Rob at Dude Felice.
Oh, hold on. Just to be clear, there's not a plenty of other things.com/Fanboys Anonymous. Just, you know what he was saying. You know where to follow us by now.
And a lot of URLs at this point. I don't know. How many do I even have at this point? I don't know, like 12?
I imagine it's over a dozen.
For instance, everybody, just to say it, if you type smarkout.com, it goes to Smark Out Moment. And
that's right.
If you go to WWEFantasyLeague.com, it goes to the Fantasy League portion of this, because...
Which, by the way, I've got to be winning. I'm a winner this time around, okay?
You got the Roman Reigns points in the main event.
Dominik points.
Dominik points, yeah. Didn't get the Tamina points.
I didn't get the Tamina points, and I am mad. But Charlotte didn't take the pin, so I'm in a good place. All right, I'm winning this year.
Oh, and by the way, two other websites that you could go to smarkoutmoment.com are PWPOV and smarks.pw.
Huh.
I always forget that I own those. So yeah.
You can follow me on Twitter and everywhere at DudeFelice. I made great strides this weekend in moving towards Twitch, so I'm very pleased with myself, and thank you, Tony, for your help there. Hopefully that'll be up by June. I'm very excited. Follow me everywhere. Check out what we've got going on. Check out the archives of 2001 Wrestling Odyssey and Paul Heyman's SmackDown. That's the retro podcast I did with Callum. We should have another one in the works pretty soon, so stay tuned for all that. Thank you for your support. Tony, thank you for indulging me. And yeah, that's it.
And to answer Peter, he's asking about, is the website working? Yeah, the last podcast I mentioned before, we were in the possibility of losing everything, and 12 hours after that or so, it ended up being Google's like, whoops.
We're sorry.
No, they didn't even say they're sorry.
Whoops.
They didn't even say they're sorry. So I'm going to hold them to that, because when you do something wrong, you should say you're sorry. And Google should totally have said that. But instead, they just said, whoops, we reinstated it. So thankfully, crisis averted. And as I had said, no malware on the website. Don't worry about it, everybody. If you get anything that pops up like that, it's not happening. I'm not giving you guys any kind of things like that. If I ever found anything, I'd immediately be going against it, because I don't want to do that. I want to give you good stuff, not bad stuff. And yeah, so we're, at least right now, we're seemingly in the clear for all that, which is one major thing not in my my brain space anymore. You know?
That's all we can ask for.
And in these days, that is kind of all we can ask for. One less thing to worry about, you know? So,
well, we hope we give you one less thing to worry about with this podcast. We hope we always give you less things to worry about, and good things. Because good things are good, fun things are fun. Say what you mean what you say.
Be fair. There's a right and a wrong in the universe, and it's not hard to make the distinction. Great Superman quote.
Good to people, like,
Whether or not you've seen the movie, pay it forward. That's what you got to do. So thank you to the people that do pay it forward, including listening to the podcast, including correcting me on the way that I say the word, including, and, you know.
I speak English.
Anything that you guys do is greatly appreciated. Just listening to this and sharing some kind words and all that stuff can go a long way. And we hope that we put a smile on your face for today. And we hope we do again next time we're talking to you, which will be, what is the next one? Actually, no, we don't know.
For Smark moment.
I was like, I'll remember it by the time I finish this sentence.
Are we doing the In Your House watch along?
You know what? That might be, yeah. We're thinking about doing an In Your House watch along for the Patreon, where we will be doing this typical kind of fan announce table setup, where I don't even know which In Your House we're gonna do. Probably
we're gonna
Final Four.
On the fly. You know, maybe Final Four. Maybe we get up tomorrow and we're like, you know what? Let's find one where Mabel's on the card and just watch that. Like,
so that might be popping up on the Patreon. And I was thinking maybe one of the options we could do for this next coming week is quick turnaround, but I don't have really a whole idea yet for what we could do for that tournament, because quick turnaround is when we would do like a tournament in one shot kind of a thing. Maybe something about cage things or something to tie in with Hell in a Cell. Maybe not. I don't know. If you have any suggestions, drop them in the comments below, of course, because I'll take that all into consideration. And it's always great when, like, I've got no idea mine and somebody will be like, hey, how about you do like Superstar scores blank? And it's like, yeah, that's perfect. You know, like, it's exactly what we're looking for. And, you know,
blank. You're not looking at the big picture.
Yeah, if you want to worry about blank instead of us worrying about blank. Futurama reference is so good. Love it. Also, you can't feel the rings. It works in pro wrestling, right? Yeah, we'll see you when we see you, though, with whatever it is. And then, of course, we'll roll along with the hot tags, and we'll roll along with another episode of A Review to a Kill, and we'll do another of this and another of that. We'll go left, right, diagonal, up and down, side to side, and eventually we'll roll along, talk about our double for nothing. I almost said double or nothing things, and then et cetera, et cetera.
And more et cetera.
Always big fan of et cetera. So thank you to everybody in the chat right now and everybody that's listening afterward as well. Whether you are doing either of them, thanks for hanging out with us. And we will see you when we see you, which will be next time. But for now, this has been another Smark out moment, and we're being counted out.